don't work, which they are not doing at the moment, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, all of these languages, especially already have seen a massive drop in vitality in the last 20 years. The only language census which counted the speakers of these languages was in 2001, and at that time there were about 1,300 in Guernsey, they self-report 2,000 in Jersey, but all of them, most of them were aged over 65 at that time, so you can see with the demographics that it's getting a very serious situation now. Okay. There are other languages in the Channel Islands too, spoken by immigrants from various countries, Portugal mostly. We think there are probably more speakers of Portuguese in the Channel Islands than there are speakers of the indigenous languages. And they came mostly to work in hotels in the catering industry. And there was it was a good deal at the time because people in Madeira, which is a Portuguese island, there was a lot of unemployment there, whereas Guernsey needed more hotel workers, and it worked out quite well. However, as you probably know, attitudes towards minority languages of all kinds tend to be quite negative. In the British Isles at least, and there's very often similar attitudes towards immigrant languages and indigenous languages. But I think it would be a good idea to try and join forces and say we need to maintain all of our languages and maintain multilingualism, because it's good for the brain to be bilingual. We know that as linguists, many language activists know that, many ordinary people don't know that, unfortunately. Unfortunately, though, there is a bit of rivalry, possibly racism, in language maintenance. So, for example, Guernsey speakers complain there is more TV in Portuguese. Yes, there are more Portuguese speakers. Yeah, and I think it would be more helpful if they joined together to try and maintain all of the minority languages. As I said, the largest immigrant group is from the UK, and they are frequently blamed for the decline of the local languages. People will often say to me, oh well, all those British people, they're not interested in our languages. But actually, I did my PhD on language attitudes in Guernsey, and I actually found that the origin of people didn't have much effect on attitudes towards the language. And in fact, often people who have come into the island try to learn the local language because they think it'll help them get in touch with the local culture, with the local society, although local people don't actually speak the language. Okay, so I'm going to talk first of all about Guernsey, and then I'll talk about Jersey, and then I'll try and draw some things together. Okay, a bit faster. Okay, so yeah, and then there's one more photo. So the main activities that are run by traditional language groups, the groups of native speakers of the languages, because the native speakers did realise in the 1950s that their languages were starting to decline, and they started a couple of organisations, and they do things like dancing and mostly having lunch nowadays. That's what they do mostly, and they have language competitions as well, once or twice a year. There's one festival in each island, and there are also inter-island festivals. And also one which brings people from Normandy as well, mainland Normandy. And these are great for raising pride and identity awareness in the language, but unfortunately they don't do a lot to actually promote speaking the language, because people tend nowadays to learn a piece when they can't actually speak the language at all, and then that leads to the whole event becoming more English, because the adjudicator will speak English so that the learners can understand, rather than trying to speak more of the language to help them to learn the language. Okay. There are also extracurricular lessons. Guernsey is not recognised by the government, although it's the indigenous language. It is not taught in schools as part of the mainstream curriculum. So some of the older speakers decided that they were going to run some lessons after school, so optional lessons outside the normal curriculum. And they're very popular, so there are only 14 primary schools in the island, and 8 of them have been running Guernsey lessons. But they're only 30 minutes a week, and I was saying to Benya earlier, if you take usual estimates of how long it takes to become fluent in a language, between 1,000 and 1,300 hours of good exposure, it would take 50 years to become fluent at that rate. So they are not really effective as language lessons. What they're really about is raising awareness again and also increasing the status of the native speakers who have never really in the past been valued for speaking their language. So this is quite important for their own valorization. But unfortunately they take up a lot of time and energy of the people who are interested in language, and there's only a few people available, so they can do fewer other things. Okay. There are increasing number of sorry, it's earlier. Back. Okay, that one, yes. Okay, so there are three main things that you can do if you're an adult and you want to learn Guernsey. One is to go to lessons. They don't go beyond elementary level, unfortunately, at the moment. In fact, elementary is the highest level that they have ever been in Guernsey lessons. And this is one of the problems that we have. There's also a group called the Rememberers, which I'll talk about a bit later, for people who are remembering the language. There is in many endangered languages, there's a whole group of people of about middle age who heard the language when they were young. They weren't encouraged to speak it. Often they spoke it until they went to school, and then they were told off and they didn't do it anymore. And they are a big resource for language revitalization. So we're trying to encourage them. Speak patois. Patois is the name in Guernsey that is often given to the language. In French it means incorrect dialect. In Guernsey, it was always often thought to just be the name of the language. When I was young, my mother comes from Guernsey. I thought it was just the name of the language, and many people in Guernsey are not aware of the negative connotations of the word patois in French. Okay, so people go to a pub or to a cafe, they do a speed dating format where they talk for 5 minutes to somebody, then they move along the room, and as you can imagine, in 5 minutes you're not going to get to a very meaningful conversation really. But these are very, very popular. People think they're great to bring older speakers and new speakers together. Okay. And then there's been a song project to try to get people to write new songs, new genres, different kinds of songs in Guernsey. And that too has been very well received. And they also had a group going around singing Christmas songs, Christmas carols in Guernsey. There's a lot of YouTube videos of those if you're interested. Right, okay. So here are posters for some of these. The lunchtime lessons has been quite popular. Speak patois, as I said, is very popular. These are posters that the language. There is a government-sponsored language commission, but it's like one person, 1 day a week. What we call the linguistic landscape. There is a bit of Guernsey. So, for example, the dairy has made a cheese which they call Fridor, which means golden meadow in Guernsey. This beer is called patois, which is the name of the language, sort of. And you may not be able to see, it says in Guernsey that patois is the best Guernsey beer, which is only made with good things and natural things. And they've been trying to put up welcome board signposts for each parish. And this is a family support service, which is quite interesting because it's aimed particularly at the part of the population which is not likely to speak the language, but they have this kind of symbolic sign saying welcome in Guernsey. Next one, okay. What's interesting in regard to language policy and planning is that many people assume that if you have independence politically, that will help to support your language. But the Channel Islands have been autonomous since since 1204. 1204. 812 years they have been independent, but that has not necessarily led to support for the local languages. In fact, what we tend to find is that language is not seen as necessary for political independence. Increasingly, politicians have been promoting it for distinctiveness. something that will make their island different from other islands, other small jurisdictions, try to attract business, try to attract particularly finance industry, which is one of the major industries in many small islands. Okay. And also, paradoxically, as the language vitality declines, as there are fewer people speaking the language, its status has been going up. So people are starting to realise what they're losing. Is, you know, how the song goes, you know, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And this seems to be the case with endangered languages. However, there is no overall strategy for language policy and planning. This is the thing I find most frustrating. And I'm trying to talk now to the lady who works on the language one day a week to try to get some more coherence in language policy, because she's got some excellent ideas, but they're all what we call a bit scattergun, all sorts of different ideas without any cohesion. Okay, so Guernsey is now what we call a post-vernacular language. A vernacular language is one that's spoken by the general population. A post-vernacular language is a language which is no longer spoken by the general population. This term was invented by a guy called Geoffrey Chandler, who wrote a book called about Yiddish, in fact, about 10 years ago. And the local newspaper recently criticised government-sponsored language policies in Guernsey for being tokenistic and symbolic rather than actually being effective. Josephine Dowding is the lady who works for the language once a week. She has particularly highlighted the emotional importance of having a local language, and this is one of the things that language revitalisation often focuses on. She says, in this vanilla-coloured world, it's important that people appreciate what's on their doorstep, and that includes the quirky, the unusual nature of Indigenous language.